Welcome back to the vlog. We're going to be playing at Capital Casino, playing in the 1-3 game. We buy in for $500. Sit around for about an hour before finally picking up a pair of aces in middle position. There's one limp in front of me. I race to 20. It's folded around to the small blind, who puts in the call for the 20. Big blind folds out, and the original limper makes the call. So we're going to head off to this flop with $64 in the center. Flop comes out pretty good for someone with 6-7, not for someone with aces. Comes 8-5-4. It gets checked over to me. I'm going to go ahead and bet my hand. I make it 25. Small blind now thinks about it for a while, and he's pretty good at attacking ranges. So he knows that this flop does not hit me very hard, so he check raises to 75. The original limper goes all in for his remaining chips, which is not very much. And now it's time to decide what to do. Well, since I know he's going to be attacking my range, I'm going to just put in a flat call here. And he will continue with all his bluffs and some of his made hands. If there was some sort of flush draw on board, I probably would be a little bit more aggressive with this. If he has 7-6, so be it. If he flopped a set, so be it. I don't think I'm going to be getting away. He does like to put in the action. And again, as I said, he likes to attack ranges. So my range is mostly high cards. His range is mostly cards in the middle. Turn card comes as a 5 of diamonds. Pretty good card for me. Don't have to really worry about him making two pairs. As long as he doesn't have a 5, I should be in good shape. He bets again for $75. Now this seems a little weak to me, making me think that he doesn't have much. Maybe he has something like 8-7, 8-6. Well, I'm not going to let him have a cheap draw. He only has about another 150 behind. And with the pot size the way it is, I'm just going to put them all in. He tanks for a very long time and finally decides on laying the hand down. And now I just have to go against the short stack, and we'll see how the run out goes. Well, after he folds, the dealer collects the chips. I'm going to get all that side pot for sure. River card comes as a 2 of hearts. I show my aces, and my opponent shows pocket 4s for a full house. So I got a little bit lucky there that my opponent didn't have more chips, because if he did, he would have won a much, much bigger pot. Didn't get much to play for the next half hour or so until this hand came up. I'm in the small blind. There is an open for $10 from a very tight player. He gets called in 3 spots. It comes back around to me. I got ace king. Definitely going to be squeezing here. I got a premium hand against a bunch of players. I want to go heads up or less. So I make it $60. Looking back on this, I probably should go 75. But anyway, I made it 60. The opener folds, which is good because he probably has the strongest range. And it's folded around to a fairly loose player at the end of the table who decides to put in the call for the 60. Not quite sure what he would have, maybe a small to medium-sized pocket pair. Don't think he has any kind of a big ace or anything like that. It's over to the player on the button. He's getting a pretty good price for $50 to come chase this. He can have a very wide range. Makes me feel like I should have made it a little bit bigger pre-flop, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. We're going to go 3 ways to this flop with $206 in, and I got a pretty good hand. Well, we're looking for a good flop, and we get the dream flop. It comes king, king, 3, rainbow. Nothing much to do here, but go ahead and bet small like I do with all my hands. Just a little continuation bet. If I had a pocket pair, ace high, even just stone cold bluffs, I'll be leading at this. This is good for my raising range. It's also a good hand for maybe someone with a medium-sized pocket pair to want to raise. But that's not what happens. Player at the end of the table just puts in the call for the $40. Player on the button didn't hit anything. He ends up getting out of the way. And now I'm hoping that my opponent has a medium-sized pocket pair, or even better yet, a king. Turn card comes as a 9 of spades. All right, time to get a little bit more money in there. He has about 200 behind. So I'm going to try to get most of it right now. Make it 125. He insta-folds, so I don't think he had very much to begin with. Well, here's a fun one. There was a couple limpers. Player raises to 15. One player puts in the call. I call from the big blind, and so do the limpers. So we're going to go 6 ways to this flop with $91 in the center. Just hoping to hit a 9 here and stack somebody. Dealer pulls in the pot, and we get a flop that comes 6-4 deuce all clubs. I have a medium-sized overpair with a flush draw, but I'm going to be starting off with a check here. Nothing else to do. See what the action brings. It's checked all the way around to the initial raiser, who bets out for $55. I get the feeling he either has a overpair, probably bigger than mine, or a hand like ace king, ace queen, king queen with a club. I don't think he has the actual flush. I think he's either drawing to a flush or has an overpair. I'm going to find out where I'm at. I'm going to raise to 130. It's a small raise, a kind of size raise I would use if I was trying to protect a flush, that if I actually had one, or if I had a set and I wanted to, get some more money in the pot. And let's face it, this puts a lot of pressure on hands like, pocket tens, jacks, even queens, especially if they don't have a club, because they might be drawing dead. Or even if they have a club, I might be doing this with a flush already. Anyway, the player tanks for a very long time, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut to the chase here. He finally ends up folding, but as he did, I hear him mumbling something like he had pocket tens. So I'm pretty happy that I got the fold out of him. If he jams, I would be in a very tough spot. But luckily, he ends up folding. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful, so I came back the next day and we got some interesting spots. The first one was about an hour into the session. I have had absolutely nothing to play. And there's a $6 straddle, a couple callers. I look down at ace jack on the button, definitely going to be squeezing here. I make it $40. The player in the small blind cold calls the $40. I think he has a very strong hand, either a medium to mid-sized pocket pair or a big ace or a hand like king queen. Flop comes out ace 7 deuce rainbow. He checks it. I'm definitely going to be c-betting here. I bet 30. He puts in a very quick call. Makes me feel like he has a big ace. Turn card comes is a queen of spades. He checks again. I don't beat ace king or ace queen, so I'm just going to check this back. River card comes as a jack. He checks again. All right, I have to go for value. If he has ace queen, he got me cold to rights, but otherwise not. He snap calls. I show him the ace jack. He did have ace king and had me crushed all the way. So I finally won a pot in the game I was in, and of course it's a force move game, so I was moved over to the main table. Didn't get a good seat for a camera angle, and I didn't get a good seat for poker hands apparently. Here I have ace queen in the hijack. There was one limper for $3. I decided to raise it up to $20. Player in the small blind likes his hand. He calls the $20. The other players all fold out, so it's just going to be the two of us when we head off to a flop. Flop comes king, king 10 with 2 diamonds. He leads quickly for $25. I think he's full of BS here. Don't think he has much. Might have a diamond draw, a straight draw. Turn card comes, makes the diamonds. I don't like my hand too much anymore. He bets out for $45. I was pretty sure I had a diamond in my hand. I took a peek back, and it is the ace of diamonds. So I don't think I can fold yet. He could still have hands like a 10 or, say, queen jack and still drawing. So after some thought, I decided to put in the call for the $45. And hopefully we can hit a diamond or a jack or even a pair. I think I'm going to be calling down. River card comes is a jack of clubs. He quickly leads for $50. It kind of feels like a blocker bet. So I was debating on whether I should raise here or not. And I don't think he's going to be paying me off if he doesn't have me beat. If he has even a king here, he might not pay me off. And if he has a 10, he definitely won't. Queen Jack, he might. But I get the sneaky feeling that if I raise, I'm just going to get called by a flush. So I just put in the call. He says, I don't have much. And then he rolls over 4 deuce of diamonds. I wasn't surprised to see a flush. I was just a little surprised to see a 4 high flush. Anyway, the very next hand, I got King Jack offsuit. There's a limper. I raised to $20. I get called from the player on the button and the player in the big blind. Flop comes out pretty good. Jack 8-6 rainbow. Big blind checks it over to me. I'm going to be firing here. I make it $30, about half pot. Button player now puts in the call for the $30. And once he does, I think that the big blind is getting probably a decent price to come along with a lot of stuff. He also ends up putting in the call. So the 3 of us are going to see a turn card with 154 in, and it's a 5 of spades. Not a very good card for my hand. I can go between betting and checking. This time I decided to check, and it gets checked around, and then it got from bad to worse when the 4 of clubs comes out. Big blind now thinks for a very long time, and I'm not sure why he's thinking as long as he is, but he eventually bets $60. And here, this is just a fold. There's just too much trouble out there, and I got a player still behind me. I don't know what I was thinking, but I put in the $60. The other player folds out, and the big blind shows me 7-6 for a straight. Bad call. Well, I think I lost the next 3 or 4 pots in a row, including one where I had pocket kings and I was up against pocket queens and a queen comes on the turn. I bet the turn, I get jammed on. I did a little heavy sigh and say, you got queens, don't you? And I started to fold, and sure enough, he showed me that he did hit the queen. I wanted to get off this table. Bad seat for filming. They finally got another table, so I was able to move back to the table I was at and picked up ace 10 suited. There is a open for $20 from a fairly solid player who's a vlog watcher. I decided to put in the call. A player on the button who's a very solid, very good player makes it 80. The opener puts in the call, and for 60 more, I'm going to go ahead and put in the call. But I'm going to be very careful with this hand. If I flop an ace, it might not be good. I'm looking to flop a flush or maybe 3 10s. Ace 10-4 with a backdoor flush draw. That's good enough for me. First player checks. I check. The original 3-better is going to be c-betting this board at a very high frequency. He puts out $75. Now he could be c-betting with an ace. He could be c-betting with, say, pocket kings, queens, jacks. The other player folds out, and when it comes back around to me, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a small raise here. If he has a big ace, I think he's going to come along. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to give him a chance to hit his set. He quickly folds, and we move on. Here we have a limp, and I look down at ace-queen. I raised to $15. Probably should go larger. The game's a lot deeper, and I have a decent-sized stack. But I don't, and we get 3 callers. So we go 4 ways to a flop with 61 in. That comes queen high, rainbow. It's checked over to me. I bet $35 into the $60 pot. End up getting 2 callers. Looking for a blank, and instead we get the 10 of diamonds. Not a good card. I don't really like this one too much. I decided to go for like a block set size, trying to charge people with like jacks or a hand like 9-10 or king 10 something that they need to pay a little bit to draw to. But I'm going to be shutting down unless I really catch a dream card. River card comes as a deuce of diamonds. I hate this card. I think I'm beat at this point. I check it over to the player at the end of the table. When he called the turn, it was like he was calling with the attitude of, I am not ever going to be folding this hand. And now he comes out with a $200 bet. So I'm thinking he has a hand like King, Queen of Diamonds. Yeah, King, Queen of Diamonds makes a lot of sense. The player to my right tanks for a while and finally puts in the call. So now it looks like I was beat in 2 spots. I don't think the deuce of diamonds helped the player to my right. They probably had something like Jack 10 or maybe Queen 10, made 2 pair. Of course, my ace queen's no good, and I do have the Queen of Hearts, so the Queen of Diamonds is still out there, and my opponent is beckoning me to call. You're going to show King, Queen of Diamonds. That's the problem. Ooh. I'm not going to pay him off. I'm just going to muck my hand. But I picked up a little bit of a read. He sure enough turns over, not the King, Queen of Diamonds, but the King, Jack of Diamonds. My other opponent flashed that they had 2 pair. And for our final hand of the day, we have pocket aces in the low jack. Player to our right opens up fairly large for $38. I'm just going to put in the flat, hoping to get an overcall because he has a fairly short stack for this table with about $190. Flop comes out 8-5-5. Really good flop for my hand, of course. He bets out for $68. Now, this player has been running pretty bad today, and I think he has a big hand like pocket kings or queens, maybe jacks. And I think he's going to just be firing all the way through. I'm just going to put in the call and call him down. Turn card comes up as a queen. Not my favorite card in the world, but when he goes all in for his remaining $82, I snap call. He shows the kings. I show him the aces. Happy to get this win. I did play up to my 4-hour mark, and after that I decided that it was time to go. The game was still good, but I was getting tired, and when I get tired, I have a tendency to make mistakes. Some people have a hard time taking a loss on the day. For me, it's one long session, and I recommend that's the way you think about it also. First day, we ended up having a decent-sized win for as boring as it was. Second day, we were all over the place. Happy to just limit the loss to 185. Overall, for the week, I did a little better than that. I had one other day where I had a decent win. So as we look at our month, as you can see, we're almost to 3,000 for the month and almost to 10,000 for the year to date. Thank you all for all your support. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.